had only been ugly, we would still be together.
Welcome to Irrera live from the Laugh Factory. We've got a great show today, and because we have Johnny Sanchez, one of the strongest acts around, and a terrific actor and a friend. I hope you're a friend. Friendly or associates?
We've become good acquaintances, haven't we?
Maybe we'll go into it someday. Maybe we'll reach that level where we call each other, have your number remembered. But yeah, we started off a little weird.
No, it was the "Have you been up" thing.
The thing at the Comedy Store.
But that was just a. Can I explain that?
Yeah, go ahead. Give it up for Johnny Sanchez. Book.
Yeah. So I'd see you, and I didn't even know I was doing that. But see, guys like you and Caponera, I'm trying to think some of the other guys that were there at the time. We really, we looked up to you guys a lot. I still do, but then I was new.
Now that you know me, not as much.
No, it's still, but I still have a respect.
You're not as much. You're not so enthralled as you were.
No, I am, because I still watch you, and I still go, wow, there's great material still coming out.
Thank
you didn't peak with one set and then stick with that.
Oh my God, I couldn't do it.
You know what I mean? So when I used to see you, I didn't even know, I didn't realize that I was going, hey, you been up yet?
Yeah,
until
right.
you called me out on it.
Me.
But you know what's funny? It must have really irritated you, because you finally just went, hey, you realize every time I see you, all you say is, "You been up yet?"
Because
Can you come up with something else? That's what you told me. Can you come up with something else?
No, because I'm thinking, I like this guy. He's terrific on stage. Can't he say hello? How you doing? Yeah. Hey, can I get you a drink? You been up yet?
You been up yet?
That was
I just told some comedian just put on Facebook that he was going to be working with you in Pittsburgh.
Oh, really?
I guess he's going to be featuring for you.
I did it last week.
Did he say it to you?
Did he do it on Facebook?
Well, what
was his name? Matt?
I can't remember, but he put on there. He's like, "Hey, everybody! Oh my God, I'm working with Irrera, whatever." Right? So I put on there, go, "Hey, Matt, do me a favor."
Oh yeah. Oh, I thought you were friends with that guy.
No,
he did tell me that.
I just saw it on Facebook. I go, "Do me a favor. First thing out of your mouth when you see Dom, have you been up yet?"
All right.
And he goes, "I'll do it." I go, "It's a long running joke. Just see what he did. Did he commit to it, or did he not?"
Yeah, he did. It was funny because I thought you guys were good friends.
No, I mean, we're just Facebook friends.
All right.
So I told him.
Well, I told him about the Persian bit.
Okay.
Because Johnny and Johnny has a bit. I mean, because he did it first, and I stopped doing it. But apparently, I must have subconsciously, and he knows, and I know that neither one of us would steal from each other.
Right.
No, beyond question. But I was doing a bit, and it was so close to his bit that he told me, and I stopped doing it. But I mean, it was like a ridiculously close thing where I think you made a reference to Mesopotamia
and
Babylonia,
and then, but the ones you didn't do were Constantinople and.
Oh fuck! You took that bit away from me.
Constantinople, and the other one was the Ottoman Empire.
Did you see me do it?
I did see you do it, but you know what's funny? Chris mentioned it to me first.
Yeah.
And Chris goes, "Hey man, you know what? Dom's doing a bit like that." He goes, "But I know," because Chris was kind of like, "Let me talk to Dom because I already know that you've been doing it a long time, and I think his is newer or whatever." But you asked me, and I said to you, "You do whatever you want because of the respect level." Like if it was somebody else. Well, no names, but if there's other comics out there, I probably would have said to them, "Look, you need to stop doing it right now." But
there's probably some comics that are so fucking crazy and paranoid they think you stole it before they did it.
Yes.
I can't believe you give me this shit. It's so.
What happened to those days, Dom? It seems like, I don't know. Maybe we were taught differently from the generation, which was you guys before us. But we were always kind of told, number one, if you saw somebody doing something, and they had already been doing it a while, you were supposed to try to like drop it or change it. But the other one was the TV thing. Remember that? Like
we did it on TV.
Yeah, like usually a comic would say, "I did it on TV," and then the other one would go, I can't do it then."
Yeah.
But it seems like the generation now, these are people that there's some that I've worked with. They've featured for me, and they're great people. They're great comics. They're great guys.
Yeah.
But it's weird you can't bring that up. Like you'd go, "Hey man, I didn't even realize." Like you go on the road, you'll see some stuff, and you'll go, "Hey man, I didn't know you did. I've been doing that, or I did that on my blah blah blah." Yeah, can you change it then? They'll ask me, or they'll say maybe can you take it out since you have more material and you're the headliner. I mean, what do you say to that?
Well, I don't, so according to the situation, I had a guy once who was doing a bit, and it was really not that funny, but it was a lead into stuff that was hopefully stronger. I said, a friend of my cousin, I told him he was homophobic, and he goes, "I'm not afraid to fight gay guys." I go, "Well, that's not what it means, you idiot." You know what I mean? And it's just, and this guy did it. This British guy, "I'm not homophobic." What I say, it's not. And he did the same joke, and and it didn't get a laugh in Montreal. It didn't get a laugh because I did it already, and I said to him, "Look, man, I did that line. I've done it for a while." And he goes, "Okay, I just won't do it here then." Like, that's not good enough.
No.
Drop the fucking thing.
Drop it. Right. Yeah, it seems a little more. It seems a little more delicate nowadays. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but I know we just were. I'll give you an example. One time I was working on a bit about people having dogs in their apartments. Okay. And I made this whole metaphor that it was like the poor dog. It's like D Block in Alcatraz. It was 23 hours in. You got 1 hour out to shower, to shit, to go walk the thing. Okay, so I started working on it. I was working at it at Dublin's. I was doing it over at Miyagi's in the store. And it was starting to get there. And I came in here. I just gotten picked up here at the Laugh Factory. And it was probably about 01, 02, something like that. And I see Tom Papa here doing a bit about he and his wife and the cat in their apartment. He did the whole thing where he's like, "Really likes it in the apartment? Open the door," right? And I could tell that his bit was already well oiled,
crafted,
and and I knew off of that, I'd only been doing mine a few months, that I didn't even go up to him. I dropped it. I just said, "This guy's been working on it. It's the same concept." I was talking about dogs, but he had the cat. I just stopped. I said, "It's his. I can tell."
Well,
so
my feeling about your bit was that I had to have heard it subconsciously.
Maybe subconsciously.
I had to have not heard it because I don't really pay attention to you when you're on.
Yeah, I've noticed.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But it's like I had.
I always go back up. You're still talking.
It was too close. It was too close. Jamie, thought that was a little. They called him a little Mexican. Isn't that funny? Is that funny? Like how people because we're in L.A. they make stereotypes. They said
little Mexican
some guy. His name's Paul. No, not Paul Tompkins. He said something.
I know
about,
Paul F. Tompkins. Yeah.
Well, he said something about you got to get rid of Jamie, and even Evan who says the shows are better without you. But I don't think so. I love I
like the whole thing with. I like the confrontational stuff with Jamie. And
He said Freddie Stoller got a girl pregnant here. Freddie's never touched a girl here. He would be lucky to get a girl pregnant, or he'd have to throw the sperm into a vagina.
I love when Jamie saw me working on some dad stuff. First, he tells me, "Buddy, you can't do the thing about the dumb dad not knowing." Not good with the movies. Tim Allen already got it, buddy. You can't. I was like, it's completely different material. But then he tells me, your dad need more. He need accent. He need to think of Freddie Soto's dad. And I go, yeah. You know what, Jamie? I don't want to do Freddie's dad. It's Freddie's dad. No offense, buddy, but Freddie dead. So it's okay to do a dad similar to Freddie's dad.
Oh, because he's dead and he's not.
Because he's dead.
Freddie's not writing anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So now it would make it fresh again to his mentality. Sometimes it really cracks me up because I just wouldn't want to be. There are Latino comics out there whose fathers all sound like Freddie's dad.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, so
just like Bobby Lee's father, that you're not funny.
Right.
Mr. Miyagi.
Would you equate that to but that's not like Freddie's dad, right? You're not saying that Freddie's dad.
No.
But
I'm just saying that there are generic dads.
And why is it? Have you noticed that they all? It seems like they're not funny if they don't have an accent.
Well, yeah. I mean, would Jamie be funny with a perfect North American dialect?
No.
Without his accent, he's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a bad enough hack as it is with the accent.
Yeah.
You know what's so funny about it? Where you were talking about him, and I was thinking, how did this guy, who I love, by the way,
me too,
become an expert on comedy? First of all, he can hardly speak English.
Right.
And he's telling people who've been fucking graduated from Harvard in literature and English, and he's telling them about how they should construct the joke.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And he's had the same bits for I don't know how many years, and he even tells me he gets kind of bored sometimes when he has to do the showcases, and he just give you know, the information he gives is like, don't go side to side so much. Try not to talk as often. And then, you know, these are these people's careers.
He's a dream crusher.
It's a dream crusher.
Yeah. I mean, he comes up here. You stand in we always talk about this on the show because it's right behind that wall. These people standing here, fucking 100-degree heat all day for 3 minutes, and a lot of times he's not even paying attention.
You know, I always thought, why don't they do a lotto? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they all put their name in the hat. They pick names, and those 10 or 12 are going to come.
Wouldn't that be great? Yeah.
And then they don't have to stand out here like a bunch of homeless.
Torture.
Yeah, I mean, back in the early '90s when I was people got here. It used to be 5 o'clock, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you'd see a few people. They'd get there at like 4 or something, and then I don't know where it happened that one guy decided I'm camping out at 5 a.m.
Right.
And now it's become that whole camp out all day, or I don't even know if they come at nighttime anymore. I don't even know what they're doing.
I don't know, but I mean, I've seen them stand out there in the heat, and that's just amazing.
And why don't they? That's what I'm saying. Like a lotto where they go, all right, put your names in. All right, these 10 that are doing it tonight, you can't come back until next month. You can't put your name back in until X amount of time.
Yeah.
And then this way nobody's standing out there in the heat and not eating and whatever they're doing. I mean, no, yeah,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
No,
because all we used to do was sign up at the store for potluck.
Well, Bill Burr said that he went back. He said he went back to New York because Jamie didn't pass him, and he said I stood out in that having like sunstroke. He's so fucking Irish. He's got no melanin. And is it melanin or melatonin?
Melatonin is get you to sleep.
Melanin, yeah.
Melanin, yeah.
But you know, Bill was up here on the podcast. He told Jamie, "You're the reason I went back to New York."
You know what's funny about Bill? He's never really grabbed onto this club, because this was just maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, and he came here and he was standing right over there before he went on, and he was like, "It's not my club, man, not my club."
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, "Well, you kill here." He's not. No, they don't quite. He goes, you know how he does that thing where he crouches. And he's like, and he goes up and he does great, but he comes off and he told Jamie was right there, buddy, great job. And he's like, no, it's not my club. They want young, they want.
See, I like it because of that. Because me is when I see like 18-year-olds out here, if they're laughing, I'm thinking fucking Goombas on the East Coast. When I go to Atlantic City, these kids are laughing. And, you know, even the fact that we have similar references, I love. You know.
You know, because they're tough. The young 18 to 21 is a tough crowd to because their attention span is so short.
Well, I also find it difficult because the lack of references. Because one of the things with this generation, with the cell phone generation, and they look everything up, so they don't really have it stored in their brains.
Yeah.
You know, they go, "Oh, I'll look that up." But boy, how come you don't fucking know it?
Right.
Because they don't read, you know, and so it's harder to make references for people that, like, you know, your Persian thing.
Yeah.
You have to know something about history to know that there was a Persia and that it's Iran now. If you don't know that, there's nothing funny.
Right.
You know.
Right. But funny, I did it on Bazaar Night, and the Iranians just don't like it. It's one of those things that
they didn't like it.
No, and as a matter of fact. They were one of the other guys. One of the other comics was like the Middle East, like, do that stuff, do it, they'll love it. And I was like, are you sure they're not going to get like weird about it? And sure enough, I was doing great. As soon as I got to that part, it got quiet, and they have a hard time. I think sometimes certain. I think for the Middle Eastern audiences, I think this is all kind of newer for them.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if they've grasped the whole
ball busting.
Yeah. I think maybe it's a cultural thing.
John, you should come on my show. By the way, it's called Bustin' Balls with Dom Irrera, and on Wednesday nights we just started it.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, but I'd love you to come because you know what's good about it. It's like goes against the rules in the sense we tell people you want to talk. You know, the comedian's gonna and then we encourage interaction with the crowd as opposed to going, "Oh, hey, this guy's doing his act." So just for something different.
Oh, you mean you actually you come up here and do your stand-up?
Yeah, but I say I just did it once so far, but I say in the opening monologue, just, you know, don't listen to her. First of all, drink, you know, there's an 8-drink minimum. Get fucked up.
Get drunk.
And, you know, you want to talk to us, bring it on. You know, and then like we had Jeremy on last week and a couple guys, and Sebastian was on, who's not a real interactive guy, but he was great with it because, you know, just breaking that fucking wall. And I'm not saying that we should live stand up by that, but just for one night a week, you know.
Well, you know, you and I were talking about that. It's I always feel like my black material has always come with a little bit of some resistance sometimes, and I think audiences just feel like if you're not black, you can't do black. I think it's in their mind that you can't, or whoa, where's this going, and they get uncomfortable. And black comedians though can
do anything.
They can do anything.
White people are stupid and they're afraid. And they're all, well, I don't know. And black people go, man, I ain't going in that motherfucker.
Yeah, I like the white voice, by the way. There's always this, you know, hey, buddy, you know, that too.
And I mean, the thing is, people don't realize how much people like being included. Now, some people are just touchy about anything.
Sure.
You know, but like I did a thing with Russell Peters at the Laugh Factory in Long Beach, and these kids are going, how come you don't talk about the Armenians? They wanted to have their balls busted. They felt left out. Yeah. And I've had that on stage.
That's great.
I've had people go, man, how come you didn't say anything about Puerto Ricans? I go, well, I don't like go after everybody. I just go after whoever I think of at the time.
I did a show. I can't remember who it was. I said, let me make sure I got everybody covered. I did some stuff on some Asians and Latinos and Middle East. And then I got done and some people came up to you. You left out the Jews.
Right.
We were waiting for the Jewish stuff. And then, you know what they...
What are you, pro-Semitic?
Yeah.
You can't cut up the Jews?
You know, but you know what it did? It made, living in Encino, that's when I ended up writing a couple of Jewish bits about some stuff that I seen happen in there. Because I thought, you know what? Why don't I? You know, I know years ago it was always... I remember when I started, people would always tell other comics, don't do any Jewish jokes,
right?
Because they run the industry.
Don't offend the Jews. They're all producers and doctors. They could kill you.
Yeah. It's funny how that fear is built in, and then I would and then sometimes a Jewish comic would go on stage, and there would always be the comics in the back that go, see, they have to tell everybody they're Jewish.
Yeah.
In case there's an agent in here.
Right.
So, you know, you get told this when you're starting, and you believe all this stuff.
There used to be a punchline that really isn't a punchline when I started out, because there were a lot more Jewish comedians then.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know, like there were, when I started out in the early 80s, the majority was Jewish. Now it's so mixed, especially with all the influx of like the
well, you must have seen
the
such
Muslim
a weird,
but you know, like guys would go, because I'm a Jew, folks. Like that in itself was a punchline. If the guy was hurting for material, because I'm a Jew.
That's great.
Sparky.
Yeah.
You know, I saw a comedian the other night from the 80s, and boy, was he stuck in the 80s.
He's still there.
Yeah, and I thought to myself, I'm so lucky that I get to hang out with guys younger than me, like you and all these guys upstairs, because I hopefully, you know, it becomes part of me. You know
something you never really did, which I noticed a lot of the '80s comics.
Tap dance. You never really.
You know, you never really got caught up into that.
Oh yeah.
That
mugging thing.
Like that, they could talk to a guy. Really? This shit, and you're happy to be married? And you never really did it, but a lot of the guys from that cut, there was a lot of the guys that and I see them still. I still see every now and then a gig somewhere, and we're working together again, and I'm like, oh, there's kind of that thing that used to be kind of like an '80s thing, but
that kind of semi-mugging thing.
But you just brought up a good point. I didn't even think about this. Like, I know I'm sitting back right now going, where are all these Indian and Middle Eastern and Latino comics that I never even heard of? For you, it must be pretty mind-boggling to go, when you start around that time, it was what? You were after Freddie Prinze.
Oh yeah,
way after. So
I never. Freddie was dead before I was a comedian.
That's what okay. So but Paul was one of the only main Latino. Paul Rodriguez.
Oh, Paul Rodriguez. Yeah.
Okay, so
I had heard it. Paul, when I started out, he was famous for a long time.
Yeah. So in the '80s, it was like there was you always had your black comics. I mean, that's part of American comedy history.
There's also a lot of X-rated black comics that weren't mainstream.
Like Fox.
Like Red Fox and Mom's Mabley, I think her name was.
Yeah, I know who she is. Yeah.
There was a few of them, and you weren't, like, I could tell when my uncles were listening to them because they'd lock the door. And then you'd hear this motherfucker, and then you laugh.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, man,
That's great stuff. So, but I mean, for you, it used to be typically white and Jewish comics, and then I'm sure you had, of course, there was black comics, but there was probably a sprinkle of some Italian comics, or maybe not so much. Not even that many.
I mean, even Pat Cooper, who was Italian, changed his name. You know who he is?
No, I don't even see.
Okay, so he was like, he used to open for Sinatra. He's an excellent comedian.
Okay.
But very bitter. And bitter against everything. And that's the one thing I tried not to do, is ever get bitter and thinking, fuck, you're doing this for a living. How cool is that compared to working, having a boss and checking in? And But Pat Cooper would do this shit like he'd talk, like I was too dumb to notice what he was doing.
Yeah.
He would give me a compliment in the middle of fucking his rage against everybody else. These fucking cocksuckers today, these kids, they got 5 fucking minutes. I've been working 40 years and they got a pilot. But you're good. I like what you do. Anyway, and he'd like, okay, just like I'm that stupid. I'm waiting for my next compliment.
You know, Paul Mooney was always like that to me. I always said Paul Mooney gave me a pat in the back and the kick in the nuts. But
I used to love the way he would talk about whitey this, whitey that, and then he'd go away with 2 blondes at the end of the night. You know.
The one thing he said to me, I just started working in the main room, and then I'd already been doing it about a year or so, and I was in the groove at that time. And I came off stage, and I was walking, the little doorway into the bar at the store. From the main room,
right.
And he was standing right there, and I'm walking by, and I didn't know if he was going to say anything or not. Another guy that I was in awe of course, and he's like, hold up, homie. Let me tell you something. You funny as hell. You funny motherfucker. Uh-huh. And I was like, and I remember my eyes must have gotten this.
He does respect that.
Yeah. But then he goes, unfortunately, you're too short for Hollywood. And then he walked out. You know that walk that he, with the straight back leaning? Yeah. And that
he's a bully, really.
Devastated me. Yeah. I mean, I remember just going, too short for Hollywood. What's
I never heard
name?
that in comedy.
And then,
what the fuck was Mickey Rooney?
Another thing that I believed for a while until I started seeing that, Pacino and Tom Cruise and De Niro, all these guys are 5'6", 5'7". But it's amazing when you're young how people can say something to you like, a lot of times comics would say things like, first of all, don't even showcase until you're at like year 12. You hear me?
Well, I don't know about that.
And then, you kind of going, yeah, you got to get good, kid. You got to get good. You got to get solid. And, you think that. People would say, you want to do a showcase? And I'm at year like 5 or 6. I'm like, no, I better not, man. I better wait it out.
I better wait it out this decade.
And then I get
3 minutes.
Look at the generation now. These cats put themselves out there at a year.
I know.
Hey, man, I got people showing up to see me, man. They saw my stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
They are so much more. There's some that are just very ambitious.
Well, the merchandising cracks me up.
Unbelievable.
I have MCs.
They have merchandise
I have
first.
3 fucking CDs, T-shirts, culottes, sweatpants, every fucking thing. Ski caps.
Everything.
Yeah.
And I'm going, where are you? They're like, yeah, this is my 3rd year. And I don't. But it's interesting that there's the YouTube generation that are ambitious. There's also the ones that feel they have a lot of an entitlement.
Yeah.
I meet a lot of those young comics who go, man, I deserve a show already.
How many years were you doing it before you got MADtv?
Oh, fudge. 14, 15. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, matter of fact, I was the oldest cast member ever cast on Mad.
People don't know the work that goes into it,
They have no idea.
And there's no like guys will say to me, "How long did it take you?" And I go, I should have no reason to affect you. Do you know what I mean? It's like, first of all, I started out, I was an actor. I was already polished when I got on stage, so it's not fair to compare with a guy who's just a writer.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, right. So
you were an actor, right?
No.
You didn't start acting? I thought you started acting.
No, I did this first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, that's got to be harder in the sense that everything comes at once, the writing and the performing.
Right.
When I got on stage, I was already a polished performer. I had no fucking act. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was like, I was as good as I am now at whatever, ad-libbing or anything with the crowd.
Confidence.
Yeah, the confidence, because
I
I was like in a great improv group. And I did a bunch of plays and shit.
I wish I would have done all that. No, I burned. I crashed and burned for the first 4 years.
Did you? Well, see, that makes sense because you're learning to have stage presence.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny though, Dime. Isn't it interesting though? I feel like in my early years, I was fearless, and there was no bit that I wouldn't try.
Yeah.
And then it seems like I probably edit myself more now than I did when I started.
Yeah.
It's something interesting about those early years. You don't even think twice about, I mean, some of the stuff was really creatively stupid, but I didn't care. I was having so much fun. And then it seemed like I got to a point, I got picked up at the store around my 4th or 5th year. And then I just felt like a lot of the comics, the rules, hey, don't do this, man.
Right.
Hey, don't go up there and say that. You know who used to give me he would not let go of it was the prop guy, the older
Basil?
No. Harry's always great.
Yeah.
Frankie Pace.
Oh, he was an ass.
And Frankie would
he was
always
good guy.
Good guy. But Frankie would always tell me, and I get his point now, but at the time I was very young, and I was all about high energy, and that's just what I wanted to do.
He was very angry and jealous too.
Right, and he's like, slow down, you're stepping on laughs, and I go, I just want to do
stepping on laughs. That should be the worst thing you do.
Right.
That they're laughing so much they didn't hear everything.
Right.
Good, let them come back and see you again.
Exactly. So, but I just find that it's weird when I get around, actors. If I go, years later, I would get into these little groups and little acting things, and I guess being around stand-ups and also musicians, by the way, and dancers, you go, God, they're all so supportive of each other. And maybe it's because I've been around the stand-up world for so long. Comics are pretty vicious. They're pretty. For the most part, I think a lot of comics. I mean, you see him back. How about that old thing that we always talk about back there? Look at this guy.
Oh,
hacky.
Hey, great set, man. You were terrific.
Give this guy. This bastard's running the light. He's and then they, hey, good job, man. Way to stick to your time.
My favorite one was I think Frazier, who I love.
Yeah.
He said to Campanera, he says, "Great set, Johnny." Who? John goes, "I didn't go on."
Yeah.
I fucking love that.
That's that's the epitome of
a
lot of the comics. So but I feel like where we are now with this generation, man. I mean, what do you think of it? Do you ever think about if you had the access to the internet and everything? I mean, you guys were around when it boomed for you guys, though. I mean,
I think that there's advantages and disadvantages. Like for instance, the way Dane Cook marketed himself.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from Dane, but just it was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
It was MySpace and whatever he did and whatever insight he had as a businessman, excellent.
Yeah.
But the downside is there's so much now.
Yeah.
See, don't forget when I started out, HBO was a much bigger deal.
Sure.
And when you did Rodney Dangerfield's special, everybody saw it.
Everybody.
And there weren't 500 channels and satellite and the pro football package and all,
Yeah.
Even like sports, you get to see ESPN was just starting.
Yeah.
And, that was a big deal because you used to have to wait at the end of the news to see
Right.
5 minutes of highlights.
The 3 to 5 minutes of highlights. Yeah. Or you had to watch the halftime with Howard Cosell on Monday Night Football
to see
get the
anything,
recap of
right, Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's advantages, disadvantages. The disadvantage coming up today is so much has been said, and so many ideas have been used. That's why I think when people ask me, not that I'm the seat of wisdom of comedy, but just logically, talk about your own experiences, talk about your own family and stuff like that, because you are the only one that has that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you're going to talk about an airplane food or something, you better have the fucking most. You better have people crying, laughing.
Yeah, airline jokes but you know what's interesting about the personal stuff? I feel like that's starting to get stepped on now.
It can be.
And I'll tell you where I see it. I see it within a comic that sees another comedian talk about his own personal thing in the same. Okay, so in other words, I feel like I was doing, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it because. But prior to 9/11, I had that whole Persian bit, the parking in my parking. I don't even remember that thing I used to do, but I did a lot of stuff on Middle Eastern. The guy that was like, who's parking in my parking? It was my closer. It was like my 4-minute bit.
Yeah, I remember
but
that.
I would tell people that I would get mistaken in the areas I live. This was pre-90.
What nationality are you, by the way?
Mexican.
You're Mexican?
I'm Mexican, and my mom's half Portuguese.
Okay.
So just a little bit of Portuguese.
Right.
Okay. But no, nothing else. No Middle Eastern, no Lebanese.
Right.
No. So I remember I would do all this stuff, and I would do Latino nights, and I would do it there. And even then, back then, this was pre 9/11. People loved it, but there wasn't as much knowledge about the Middle Eastern people. Then 9/11 hit, and all of a sudden, these guys that used to watch me talk about how I looked and got mistaken, suddenly they were mistaken for Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
So I started seeing all these guys start going, yeah, man, look at me, I can't go. And I'm going, oh man, because it was all such personal stuff for me.
Yeah, it was real.
It is real, and some of them going, you don't even look that Middle Eastern,
right.
And they're still throwing that out there. And I don't know, I felt like some of the personal stuff sometimes now gets weird. It can get stepped on in a weird way. I see Latino guys talk about stuff that I talked about for years, but what do? You can't.
You just gotta write on.
That's a great. That's a great line, right on. But WRITE.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's the only thing.
Right on.
I can't. I mean, look. I remember one time. I believe me. Not like I wrote this line. I got it from where I grew up. Bada boom, bada bing.
Right.
Right. And I was the first one that ever did it that I knew. If somebody did it, I didn't see it on national television. Bada boom, bada bing, bada bing, bada bang. This kind of thing. And I did a bit about it on my first HBO special. Then The Sopranos come out with the Bada Bing Club and all. And people were going to me, did you see The Sopranos or doing your act? Like Roseanne did it once. So you know that Roseanne got it from me.
Right.
Did it on her show. But fuck it. But The Sopranos, right? One of the greatest shows ever. And I go, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, you gotta
what am I supposed to? I mean, first of all, I don't own it.
Right.
I just got it from the streets. But I mean, the fact is, what am I supposed to do? Do I want to look like that bitter fucking guy who's Italian, who didn't get on The Sopranos, now he's going to sue them for some saying?
Right.
It's like...
Or you're on this campaign, this social media campaign on Facebook or MySpace. At the time, it would have probably been MySpace, saying, you don't want to be that guy that's going, they stole my bada bing.
They didn't steal anything. They probably, maybe somebody saw it, maybe they didn't. Because other people grew up where I grew up.
Where you grew up, yeah, right.
But I mean, it's just so funny because the idea of like me saying it during the peak of it would have been so fucking inappropriate. Like, like if I'm on the panel of some TV show, I got to say that, the Bada Boom Bada Bing was mine, and the Sopranos go fuck themselves for stealing from me, man. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, what a loser.
Right. But by the way, I have the best tour name. If it was ever, I told this to Sebastian, but we never ended up working together. But an Italian, or Italians and Mexican and Latinos together, Mexicans, bada beans.
Bada beans.
Bada
beans. Bada bins.
Bada beans. No, just bada beans.
I like it.
That's the name of the tour.
T-shirts.
You got the two guys. You got an Italian guy going like this. You got the Mexican guy like that.
Now, weren't you with the Don Juan, or what was that?
No, the three Non-Juans.
Three Non-Juans. That was you.
That name was a huge mistake.
Was it?
Because I think for the special, everybody thought it was really funny. But when we went out on the road, people are calling up. Okay, so are these three white guys?
Oh, yeah.
And then other people go, so is this not in Spanish? And then we even got calls. They go, well, my name's Juan. Can I come to the show?
No, you just...
Because it said three, and it was... I came up with the name. I came up with that one, and Al Madrigal and Carlos Alzraki loved it.
Oh, it was Carlos Alzraki?
Carlos Alzraki. So we're like, we just wanted to do the first Latino special.
Now, who closed that? You?
Carlos did. I came out first,
really? Carlos?
And then Al, and then Carlos.
He's got to get more energy, Carlos. Got to put a little more investment into his act.
Right. So we thought maybe of course Al wanted to close. Al.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Angry Al.
I think I should.
Al.
I think I should be fucking last, and but we did it that way because I felt like I thought me out of the chute was a good way to start the show. But we tag team. We didn't have a host or anything.
Yeah.
So but
what
we
did you
wanted
do? 20 each? 25?
We ended up on the show. I think it was 18.
Okay.
18 each with the interviews and stuff in the back.
Right.
But we wanted to do a Latino show. It was where you didn't hear, "What's up, fuckers? We're my Raider fans.
Fuck.
If you're Latino, clap."
Yeah, right.
We were like, we want to do a special where it's just three Latino guys. They're just crossover, and but the name was just it just didn't work on the road.
I remember that whole controversy about the wall, that line, about who do you think built the wall?
Oh,
remember that joke? And who was upset? Rodriguez? Everybody was upset that they wrote that.
Wait, you mean when Bush was going to do the wall?
I think so. And they said,
no. Who
keep
put it
the
up?
Mexicans
Who do you think's
out.
gonna
Who do you
put,
think built
who's
it?
Gonna, yeah. In other words, Bush was saying, we're going to build a wall on the border.
Right.
And then every Latino comic came up with, well, who do you think's going to put it up?
Yeah, right.
We're the ones, and then we're going to leave a little hole in the bottom anyway.
I know. You know what I did one time, and I realized how generic it was the 4-hour erection thing. Remember, if your erection lasts for more hours. I mean, it was so like a guy, a club owner came up to me and goes, "Dom, you're better than that. Don't do that." And I thought, how fucking cool is it, to be honest? Because the joke, my version of it was, and it's so fucking easy. If your erection lasts for more than 4 hours, call a doctor. Call a doctor. I'm calling the National Guard. I'm calling the Boy Scouts of America. Come on, folks. I'm trying to do that gesture you were doing. Am I right? That's such a funny thing to pick out from the 80s.
Yeah.
Of all the specific little fucking, like, hey, Sparky. But you pick out that one.
The look.
Yeah.
This guy. Back to this guy. I had some of those things where I used to do a lot of commercial. Is that what you do when you start? What? It seems like I noticed some of the young comics here jump on commercials. And I remember doing that when I started. I don't know if that it's so easy, but what was the? Oh, I did the EPT, early pregnancy test. I did a bit on EPT.
This was on your.
Yeah, in other words,
you did a commercial.
I'm thinking no. I'm thinking of the things that I did in the past where people would go. Somebody gave me this joke, Dom. That he did it one night, and I go, man, dude, that is really funny. He's like, you want it, you can have it. I don't want it anymore.
It was somebody else's.
Guess what it was?
What?
When I was in San Francisco and I dropped my keys, so I just kept on kicking. Right. Remember that thing? So you wouldn't have to bend over?
Yeah.
Well, this guy told me you can have it. So I do it at the Bray Improv one night. Gene Pompa's headlining, and Gene comes. He goes, "Hey, come here, man. Come here. Hey, don't do the dropping the keys, kicking the keys in San Francisco." It's like, what are you talking about? He's like, it's hacky, man. That's hack awful. I was like, what? Someone gave it.
told you this?
Gene Pompa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I stopped. You know what I mean? Like but I didn't know that it was hacky. This other open micer said, I'm sick of it. You can have it.
Oh.
But I didn't. He knew it was probably hack.
He stole it from somewhere.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think we all go through those things, don't we? Like there's some stuff I don't know. You look back and you kind of go, maybe I shouldn't have been doing that. It was too easy.
Yeah.
It was,
I started out doing all characters. I didn't even get to myself for a while. It was like one after another, character. And then
I like that stuff.
Yeah, it was easy because it would be I could hide behind it.
Yeah.
It was like doing a play.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has their own path, My first paid gigs were in children's theater.
Wow.
You think this fucking boom wee, bada boom wee. So if I drilled the mother, and it's like, and I was like, oh yeah, ducky daddles, Can you imagine? And fucking singing and dancing.
That's crazy. Do you have any of that? Do you have any of that footage? No.
No.
Wow, that's almost like when you see is it Morgan Freeman used to be Blackula or something on Zoom or whatever?
Was he really?
Yeah, he was on a kids show.
What a fucking great actor too.
Yeah, and he played this Blackula or whatever it was, but it was a kids show. It was like Romper Room or Zoom or whatever, and that was his start. And you look, who would have thought he would have,
I got my equity card doing children's theater. This was a different group. I was a children's theater guy, and they got my equity card singing Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier.
I know that song.
Do you remember that song?
Yeah, I do remember that
because
song.
I couldn't compete with real singers. Like, they were legit Broadway voices. So I went in and I acted it out. And it was like, born on a mountaintop in Tennessee, greatest state in the land of the free. Just over the top. And they were fucking crying, laughing, because it was so stupid. Because there was no way I was going to go up there and sing something from,
that's how
Cats.
I would feel. I can't sing either. Maybe that's why you're special. I don't know if you remember how many times I complimented you on your half hour on Comedy Central.
Oh, yeah.
But every time I'd see you, I was probably a broken record there too, but I kept going, Dom, that's special. I love it because it was more like a one-man show. now it makes sense because you already had kind of a theater background.
Yeah.
And I remember watching you do that, and I went, dang, that's kind of really what I wanted to do. But I just didn't know how to quite formulate it.
It was
in my
definitely
head.
the theater background that helped because I
great,
never rehearsed that. Like I never was on that set before, so I never even got a chance to run it. I had no idea.
You didn't even run that?
I didn't even know where I was going to go. I would go and I'd sit down and talk a little, stand up like I'm doing stand up, sit down conversationally, talk. I look back at the meat hanging in the deli, wherever it was. But yeah, I didn't even know. I mean, maybe it was easier because I didn't know.
Well, did you?
It was more natural.
So how long? Well, then let me ask you this, because I know when they end up. Look, it ends up being 22 minutes because of commercials, and I think I did. They told me you can go a little bit longer. I think I did 30 minutes.
That's about what I did.
Oh, so you were okay? So you did, it's not like you sat there and did an hour.
No.
Yeah.
Dane
well, then
I'm
even more impressed.
I think Dane did a real long time because he was he was on the next night, and I remember that was kind of one of his breaks.
That was a big break. He took his shirt off.
Yeah.
Threw it
he was
out
like
and
laying down on the floor and
Yeah. I remember that, and I remember Dane. I think as I did it the year after Dane, and I could not come up with like the backdrop. Like a lot of people had a certain image, and I remember just going, I just want a curtain. I just wanted a burgundy.
Well, that's where you're comfortable.
And at the time, I think then later on, like I saw Freddie Soto. He had his old house behind him.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
He didn't walk through it or anything like you did. He just had it behind him, the house in El Paso, Texas. And that's when I kind of knew. Like I saw your special, I saw Freddie's and a few other people that had certain things set up, and I kind of felt like I wasn't quite really. I didn't really know who I was when I did my very first special.
Sure.
And it kind of got thrown on me. Somebody, all I remember was a guitar comic, bailed out. Something didn't work out. And my agents go, "We got you the half." And I remember thinking, okay, what.
Right.
And then the battle became, I wanted to just kill, and they wanted me to try to get a pilot sitcom out of it. So here's what ended up happening.
Your brand.
Yes. So they were going, do this stuff about you, third generation, you don't speak Spanish, And I'm like, yeah, but this stuff kills.
Yeah.
So here's what happens in that special. My first half is everything they wanted. Okay? I'm talking about myself, and it's going okay. It goes okay. But to be honest with you, I wasn't killing by any means. And then the second half was much stronger because it was just comedy.
Which is just the opposite of what you want on TV because you want to hold the audience,
Yeah. So it's one of those lessons where you look back and go, what the hell was I thinking? Like even when I think back and go, why would you don't go into it. You don't go into the special going, maybe one of the networks will think of this first 8 minutes as a potential pilot.
Yeah.
You should go into it going, well, I'm doing my stand. I'm going to kill. I want to just...
Yeah, I think that's the way you should go into life as a comedian, too, because I don't want to get overly philosophical, but I remember Rich Jenny, who's a great writer and all.
Yeah, fantastic.
And he said to me one time, should I go to Montreal? And I said, yeah. I said, but you know what? Go up there. It was the festival, right? I said, go up there and with the idea of, like, beautiful city, beautiful women, great restaurants, fun comedy. Then if you get something, you get something. If you don't, fuck it. Just have fun. And I said fun. He looked at me like, what? Fun? This isn't fun. There's no fun. This is just the challenge of getting this and that. And that's like just getting, trying to be happy by just being wealthy. You got to have more depth to your life,
Jenny was like that, wasn't he?
He was miserable and so fucking talented.
Yeah, so talented. Remember the first time he's another guy that I would stay away from at the store. And then,
but he was much more aloof than I am.
Oh no, totally. And then I remember
I'm a little aloof.
Finally, I decided I was gonna. I'd been there long enough, and he had seen me, and I was doing well at the time. I was coming up or whatever, and but people kept telling me, they're like, hey, who you sound like? Whenever I would go do a show, people, you sound a little bit like Richard Jenny. And I'd always go, I think just because of the rasp, right? Oh. And I'd always go, oh man, that's a great compliment. I get it. So I decided to tell him that, right?
Oh boy.
Yeah, back in the parking lot, right back there. He's talking to somebody, and I'm like, "Hey, Richard, Johnny Sanchez." He's like, "Yeah, I know, yeah." And I go, "Listen, I just want to tell you, people tell me that I sound like you, And that's a huge compliment. And then he took it.
I took your rhythm.
And he turns to me and goes, get a load of this guy. He comes up to me, tells me he sounds like me, and then he tells me how I'm supposed to feel about it. So I think he thought I meant, that's a big compliment, sounding like me.
Yeah.
You sound like me too, or whatever. It was awkward.
He never took anything in a positive slant.
And then cut another 12 years later, and we're out right after. This was about a month before he passed, and he got in his car, and I was standing out front, and I'm like, "Hey, great set again, Jenny. Yeah, thank you." And I go, "Yeah, Johnny Sanchez. Yeah. I know who you are. You do shows here, right? You do, yeah."
Yeah.
Just really, and I thought, wow, 12 years later, we were. I mean, I'd go on after him, before him, but there was no.
No, he was too out there.
Yeah.
And who knew he was that sick? And I remember towards the end, he came in one night because he saw my name on the marquee, so he wanted to go on because he had like a competition with me. And John, we were not alike at all. The only reason he was competitive with me is because people made us competitive because we're both short Italians. That's it. Nothing else. His fucking material's brilliant, so different than mine. Mine is like choppy characters, but his is like real, well constructed, written out. Totally different comedians.
They did the same thing with Freddie and I at the store.
Well, you guys were nothing alike.
Nothing alike, and everybody, I don't know, man. It's between you and Freddie, man. So and so says Freddie's favorite, his favorite. You're mine, but and Freddie and I used to laugh about it. We would talk about it. They didn't. We'd go, hey man, what's going on with these people? Freddie's like, man, dude, we got to do this together. We're in this together. Yeah. We were nothing alike.
Well, I said to Jenny, I said, why don't we join up? Why don't we go on the road together? This is when we were both had just come off HBO specials and were really flying. And he says, why would I want to do that? I said, I don't know, to make money, have fun. What am I going to say? Why would I want to? You want to close?
You weren't expecting that answer,
You can
right?
close. I don't care.
I feel the same way about a lot of these tours, these comics. There's certain guys that just feel like I have to close. I go, take it. You get the drunks.
Yeah.
You get the drop checks. That's fine by me.
Yeah.
I don't
There's
care.
this guy, Bobby Collins, who I fucking hate.
I remember Bobby.
I hate that motherfucker, right? And
he's another guy.
Hey, you hot shit. Hey, look at you. He said to me, you look at you. You look good. You lost weight, huh? I lost weight. I gained fucking 40 pounds. What are you fucking looking at, you fucking phony? But I hate that guy. Right?
You hate that guy.
I hate him. But there's only a couple guys I hate. I like mostly everybody.
Yeah.
But he said he wanted to close the show that I'm in the contract I was supposed to close. I don't give a fuck. So the lady said to my agent, my agent said to the lady, just call Dom. He doesn't care. Yeah. So she calls me, and I said, look, I'm a headliner. I headline. I close shows. I'm Dom Irrera. Let me tell you something. It's in the contract. She goes, well, I understand. You're right. I go, I'm fucking kidding you. I don't give a shit. I says, I won't even go on if you want. I'll do a meet and greet at the beginning. I'll walk people to their seats, tell them a joke, and I'm out of here.
You're still going to get paid.
And you know what he did, this jerk off? Bobby Collins, you fuck. You know what he did, John? He tells a friend of mine, he tells some people back in New York that I opened for him, right?
Oh, you got to love that.
My friend of mine's from Mississippi, big black guy, one of my best friends in comedy. He goes, Nicky, did you open for Bobby Collins back in Staten Island? I go, Mike, what do you think? He goes, I didn't think so. Do you know that voice? Do you know him? Mike Ivey?
I don't know.
He talks like that. I love him. Mike Ivey, brilliant guy.
Hilarious.
He talks like that because he's from Mississippi. He's the one I have a joke in my act about. He always says motherfucker, but I mean like unbelievable amount.
Yeah.
I said, Mike, how come you say motherfucker so much? You realize how much you say? He goes, I don't say motherfucker that much. Motherfucker. Like, he didn't realize. He didn't realize you're saying it now. What are you telling me you don't say?
My wife always says that. Jennifer, she always says, she goes, man, how is it that a lot of, not just black, like comedians, but, there's the actors too, but motherfucker, it's just rolls off black comedians. You don't even, they could do the clean show.
And it has nothing to do with having fucking somebody's mother.
But I say it. I don't know how it is for you, but that actually, what time we got?
No, we're good. We got about 5 more minutes.
5 minutes.
Is that you go with that?
Yeah, because I gotta go. I gotta be down the street by 4:50.
Down the street? What are you? What are you, fucking drug dealer?
I gotta be down the street. What are you? What are you?
What are you, the guy that's got to be down the street guy? What are you doing?
I like that.
What are you doing?
You gotta be the guy. But no, the one time I worked with Bobby Collins was at the Ice House, and one night it was the last show. You remember they used to do the 11 o'clock show on a Saturday. You did 3 on Saturday night.
I don't remember.
They do the 8, the 10, and the midnight show. Well, he wanted to get out of there, and he's like, I don't want to stay for this. I'm older. I don't want to, So they came into the green room, and they said to me, Bobby'd like to switch with you. And I'm like, hell yeah, because I was like, I'll close.
Yeah.
They go, okay, so you'll do, so we'll let him do his thing, and then you close up with 20. I go, wait a minute, 20? That's what I'm doing as the feature. She goes, the manager, she goes, no, he's going to do his 45. And then
in the easy spot.
Yeah, and I go, no.
Good.
If he wants to switch, he can do 20, and I'll do 45. Right. So he came, they grabbed him, he came walking in, he goes, oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, you don't want to wait for me to do it. I go, no, otherwise I'll just do my 20 and get out of here. He's like, good point. I'll do 20, I'll get out of here, you do 45.
What did he end up doing?
He did do 20.
Oh, he did? Oh.
He did do 20, and he got out of it.
I didn't want you to say anything nice about him. I hate Bobby Collins.
I think another comedian who, under somebody like him, would have said, okay, I'll just do... I mean, can you imagine the feature who's really the headliner doing 45, and then you got to close up at 20?
I've seen them do that because the feature was so strong, though. I've seen them have to switch it.
But do they give the headliner still the same amount of 40 minutes, 45?
Yeah. Especially if it was like a celebrity headliner that was not that strong.
Yeah, that does happen.
Well, you know what happens, John, in this business. You can become famous because of your sitcom or something, but you can't compete. What's that?
Yeah, and then
you can't compete with some of these comedians. It's like Michael Richards when he used to come in here. All you guys of your generation, are you Bill Burr's generation? Would you say?
Yeah, I think Bill and Dane and
that group. I mean, it's
Alonzo,
very strong group. You know, that's when comedy came back. As far as I'm concerned, like in the clubs, is when your group came because they were so. I'm telling you, and this is a weird thing to say. And I think I've said this on the show before. There was a time, and there was such a dearth of talent at the Comedy Store that Paulie and I were the only ones that did television. And I hate to say the sentence Paulie and I, but I mean, all due respect, it's like, the first one I went there was Arsenio and Roseanne and Belzer and all these guys, But
well, you know what's interesting? I was the comic on stage right before Michael Richards that night.
Oh, were you?
I was. It was.
I didn't know that.
Phrase opened.
See, he would panic following somebody like you.
Sully went on and killed. Sully McCullough. You remember Sully?
I love Sully. Yeah.
He just got a gig writing for SNL.
So he's in New York?
He's a new SNL writer.
I was wondering why that cocksucker didn't call me. We were supposed to go to a basketball game together.
Just recently?
Yeah.
Well, he just posted it like 2 days ago.
Oh, good. We'll have to get in touch with him. Congratulate him.
Yeah, that's awesome. So he went on, and he's so likable. He always does a solid set. And
because you smell like fries.
Yeah. So that's funny. And then I went on, and normally Michael Richards was going on earlier. He was always going on like first.
Yeah.
But this night he went on after the 3 of us, and that whole thing, fame will get you 5.
Oh, yeah.
After 5 people, it was just crickets.
Oh, yeah.
And, the whole story's still wrong. It still irritates me when, like, he just recently did another interview, and the people sitting up there were not heckling. They were ordering drinks.
I know.
And they got
Katie,
in late.
the waitress, called me that night and told me what happened.
Yeah. Then we had friends here that night, and my wife, Jennifer, was out front, and she's talking to these well-dressed, educated, the black guys. They were Asian girls. They were a mix. It wasn't these black guys that were heckling. And granted, they came in late, and they were ordering the drinks, but there was
no Elizabeth Theater. You got to order. You got to talk to order a drink.
And the problem was it was so quiet
because
because he was bombing.
Right.
So he could hear them. He was getting frustrated, but man, I mean, he went. Come on.
So you watched it.
Yeah, we were Fraser, Sully, and I were sitting right up there.
Wow.
We were kind of talking. We heard, we'd see him going, "Ooh," we're going like that at the monitor, like, "Ouch, this is getting rough." And then all of a sudden, you, and we're thinking. I mean, Fraser and I both looked at Sully.
Like,
what are you gonna do about
Sully's
it?
black, so and we love the guy. So,
So it was just pandemonium after that.
Was Sully? Did he get upset?
You know, he really didn't get.
He's
he
so
just kind
fucking
of was like,
philosophical.
"What's wrong with this guy?"
Yeah, it's his problem. That's
yeah. And then Frazier goes up. Loved it. Frazier, hey, because Richards just dropped the mic right there, and Frazier comes like, "Hey, all righty, folks," and there's people yelling at each other. Fuck that motherfucker, man! No, fuck you, man. He has a right to say what he wants. No, so there was people starting to get in their own little fights here. And Frazier's like, anyway, hey, all right, hold up. And then what does he do? He brings on, some of the people started leaving because they just were pissed.
I heard, yeah.
And then he brings on Gaffigan. Jim
Oh,
Gaffigan's
no.
closing, right?
Whiter?
Yes.
You couldn't get whiter than that.
So Jim comes up, and it actually kind of had settled a little bit.
I don't think he's been in the club since then.
Well, you know what's? It was funny. He comes on. He goes, "Hey, you guys all want to hear some ethnic jokes?" And then there was enough people with a sense of humor that started to chuckle, and he ended up having a good set. But half of the room had cleared out.
Right.
There was people outside. They were waiting for the black people were waiting for Michael Richards. He was up in the,
Oh, they were waiting for him?
Oh yeah, there was the people out front.
How did he sneak out of here?
He went up into the. They took him up to the top office.
Oh, to the office and just hid.
He just went from here straight up.
Interesting, isn't it? How remember he was being chased by those gay Puerto Ricans in Seinfeld. And interesting how life imitates art. Remember Taylor Negron, I think, was one of them.
Taylor Negron, yeah.
And
yeah.
How funny is that?
That's crazy.
Wow, John, thanks a lot.
Hey man, I had a great time.
You were great. You were great.
Thanks, buddy.
Sorry, Jamie Donald ducked you.
That's all right. I gotta be down the street. I'm the down the street guy.
So what's the thing? Do you have anything you want to plug, by the way? Any dates coming up?
I'm gonna be on. No, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna be on Raising Hope Tuesday night.
Oh, this won't be done by then.
Oh, that's.
By the way, I saw you on Raising Hope. You were terrific. That's by the time it'll come on.
There you go.
Now, you got any clubs or anything you want to?
No, I'm in town. No, I'm literally done after next week. I'm gonna go home back to South Carolina with Jen and the family. And,
oh, cool.
And so no, I'll be back for. Are you doing New Year's Eve here? You're probably not.
No, I'm in Raleigh. I'm at Good Nights.
Yeah. You know what? Heath's there. Heath Heights.
Oh yeah.
I was going through clubs I'm trying to clubs I've never done.
Yeah.
I sent the guy an email. You know, that's always tough if you don't have a PA agent. But
do you do Tampa?
No.
Because I'm doing Side Splitters in January for Tampa and in Knoxville. But you should be at Tampa because if you want me to put in a word for you.
Yeah. Now, who's the guy?
Bobby Jewell.
Yeah.
He's the only guy, club owner that can moonwalk. He's really keeping his finger on the pulse of what's happening today. But he moonwalks around his bar.
Well, Brad Reeder, isn't it, at Good Nights? Isn't that the guy who books?
I don't know. My agent. I went through my agent for that.
Anyway, I sent them. But you know, I'm trying to get into some clubs that I didn't used to do, that I haven't done. But I'll hit up the guy I've been given his name before. The Jewel guy, Bob Jewell.
Oh yeah. Well, let me know.
Yeah. Okay.
I know this isn't good for the air, but. Definitely, you should be working there. It's a great.
Sure.
Club.
Okay.
All right, Johnny
Dom.
Sanchez.
I got to run, buddy.
Thank you, man.
All right.
Appreciate
I'll see you tonight.
Johnny Sanchez. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.
If she